right, welcome to an interview, a very special interview here at Brew Public with Brett Joyce, president and one of the big dogs here at Rogue Brewing.
What's up, Angelo?
Pleasure. Thanks for having us here. Well, a lot has been going on with Rogue. If you've probably been following the beer news over the past, 20 years or so, but more recently. Brett, you've kind of been taking over command of things here because of the passing of your father, Jack, who's an iconic figurehead in craft beer, especially here in Oregon. I'm sorry to hear about that, and we're all missing him a lot. How has this transition been for you, and what's all this like? I mean, I know it's been some months, but still, it's pretty recent still.
Yeah, it's obviously was a super sad event, a sad year for for me and my family, and obviously the Rogue family and probably the craft beer community at large that had a chance to know my dad. It's kind of to think about it maybe a couple ways. The transition at Rogue has been happening gradually for a long time. It was one of those things where my dad and I never talked about the transition. It just kind of happened naturally over time. So we were really more, I'd say, partners than anything. And I've been handling the day to day for a long time. But there's no doubt that we looked as a company to Jack for for guidance on so many issues, just with his experience and wisdom and how he looked at things. So there kind of there's the transition that we went through over the course of 8 years, and then there's the the suddenness of him being gone. That's certainly it's hard. Business wise, all of a sudden that that voice of wisdom, that person that had the the passion for a lot of things here at Rogue is gone. So you miss that as a company. You miss that as a guy who lost his dad. Obviously, I miss my dad. Obviously, as somebody who had a great partnership and working relationship with a guy like that, you miss being able to pick the phone up and say, hey, what do you think? That was a lot of what I leaned on him for, was just a great objective viewpoint, perspective on so many things. So it's tough not to have that. But I think hopefully he left behind enough wisdom and enough teachings that we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine as a company and survive. But certainly it's never the same once you lose your spiritual North Star, which was what Jack was for us at Rogue, and for me and a lot more as a dad. So.
How have you integrated what your father Jack has taught you to continue to grow the business here at Rogue?
Well, yes, it's the funny thing. It's not like it's not changing. It's not like, well, he's not here, so things change. It's almost the exact opposite of that. Is what we view our job here at Rogue as being now, and before he before he passed on, has always been the same, which is we're trying to honor the spirit of what we think Rogue is, and a lot of that was embodied obviously in Jack. I think a lot of times, in most cases, breweries and companies at large are a lot about what their founders represented. So certainly Jack is in the spirit of Rogue, and Rogue's in the spirit of Jack. There's no doubt about that. So we just try to continue to do things that are Rogue, that are revolutionary, that we say dare, risk, and dream. So we continue to dare, risk, and dream, and not fall into the the temptation to be normal or sane or same or pedestrian, which is just not in the definition of Rogue. So that's that's always been the mission. So that that part doesn't change, but you have to probably work a little harder to keep that same spirit around, and that same craziness and wackiness and the stuff that maybe only Jack could come up with. So that's how we think about it.
When Rogue started in the craft beer game back in the late 80s, there really wasn't a lot like that at the time. I mean, you had Bridgeport, you had Widmer, and you had Full Sail and a few others. But on the national scale, really, you didn't see too many Oregon breweries across the country. You guys have always had your interests in mostly all states. As far as I know, you're distributed in all states. Is that correct?
True.
And about 20 countries or so, give or take. So how has that enabled you or hindered you from uh, being creative? I mean, obviously you have to cater to a national or international audience, but at the same time you have to focus on what the beer geeks like with some of your one-off styles. How have you managed to balance those two over the years?
Well, I think we always set out to build a world-class brand. That was the vision from the beginning. So we thought that, hey, if we can build a world-class brand, then by definition that brand can travel. And I think we've shown that over the course of 26 years that the brand does travel. Like you said, we're in all 50 states and have been for a dozen years or more. We're actually in 49 countries now. So
Wow.
we never set out to be the biggest brewery. We just wanted to be a great world-class brand. And we thought that one of the ways you test your brand, if you're going to make that statement, is to put it out there, not just locally, but in markets across the country and the world. And we've done that, and we're pleased with the results and people's how they've embraced Rogue outside of Oregon, across again 50 states and 49 countries. People in lots of places have found the brand to be fun, interesting, compelling, and a great product as well.
Now, how many locations do you have in Oregon right now?
How many
Rogue like locations?
pubs?
Pubs, yeah.
Yeah, so we're spread out. So we have two farms. So we have a farm in Ty Valley where we grow barley and we malt our own barley up there. We have a hop farm in Independence where we also have a tasting room. And we grow not just hops, we grow rye, corn, wheat, pumpkins, jalapenos. We have chickens, pigs. It's got on-site hop processing. So really, that's been a nice addition to that in 2008. So nice home for our hop farms, and then it started as hop farms, then became a whole lot more. Angelo, as we kind of got into not just the hop farming, but said, hey, if we can have a hop farm, why can't we have these other crops? And then we have a pub in the Pearl District on 14th and Flanders. We own and operate the Green Dragon and the Buckman Brewery over here in Southeast Portland, across from where we sit right now. We have a pub, Rogue Hall, on the Portland State campus. We have a pub in the Portland Airport, the D Concourse. We have 3 places in Newport. We have our place called Brewers in the Bay and at the brewery. We have our original location called the Bayfront Public House on the historic Bayfront in Newport, and then we have a tasting room in over adjacent to the brewery at our original distillery down there called House of Spirits, which has a great view of the Yaquina Bay Bridge and the bay, and it's a nice spot to come in, kind of a small tasting room for our spirits. You can have a beer too, but it's principally about our spirits. And we also have a pub in Astoria on Pier 39.
That's right, in there. That's cool. So it's not just the vertical integration of the brewing process that you've been integral in kind of pioneering or whatnot, from the hopping and malting all the way up through, but you also have gotten into spirits and sodas. Tell us a little bit about that and how that's kind of been going for you guys.
Yeah,
We've got a few here. We've got the citrus cucumber soda here, and you guys have been doing ciders. Kind of stepped out of not just beer but in other beverages.
Yeah, first let me say something about vertical integration, because people that use that term think that you do that because you're economically efficient, and some people are able to do that, and I'll just tell you that our approach to growing our own ingredients is the opposite of economically efficient. So because we're so small scale, it's highly inefficient. We'd be a lot better off just buying off the shelf malts and pumpkins and hops. So what we do is really just more for the the revolution of it, for the chance to say we grow our own and embrace that process and see what you actually get from the terroir of the earth if you're actually there, touching it, seeing it, using it every day. So that's why we do it, not certainly for vertical integration in the conventional sense of that term. But in terms of the other products, Rogue is not just a brewery, if that makes sense. So we started as a brewery, but we really said, hey, let's build a great brand. And I think as long as the things that we do underneath that brand at the top are consistent with what Rogue is, we can do things that aren't just strictly in the beer space. So that's why we think we can have a right to make things like spirits and soda and cider. But again, it's got to be connected to the brand. For example, the soda has cucumbers in it that we grow on the farm ourselves. The 7-hop cider is a cousin of one of our favorite beers called 7-hop IPA that uses all 7 different varieties of hops that we grow on our farms. So inspired by that, we made a cider that uses all 7 hop varieties that we grow down in Independence. So again, it's all thematic back to the different stories that we have. So that's how we, I guess in our own minds, decide to do these things. And for me, it makes all the sense in the world.
And your labels are not just they don't just stand out because of the some of the connections that you make to like the Sriracha Stout or the Voodoo Donut brands, but also there's a human element connection to a lot of people who have been involved with Rogue, like your Chocolate Stout or like Mom's Hef and things like that, where there's people that have been an integral part of Rogue. Tell us a little bit about that real quickly.
Yeah, so some of our bottles, like as you said, honor living rogues, and usually those are people that are friends of ours or helped us out along the way. You mentioned Mom's Hefeweizen, and that's Mo Nemi, who was our first landlord in Newport of Mo's Clam Chowder restaurant. So she gave us the building that we put our first Newport brew pub in. So she was a longtime family friend and supporter of Rogue. Chocolate Stout has a gal named Seb Bueller, who was worked for us for almost 20 years, who was really a big part of our evolution into the East Coast. She was always based out in eastern Pennsylvania. So we like to occasionally put real people on the bottles. Other times we have a caricature that's really the rogue in each of us. So it's not a real person. It's just again a caricature. But when we can, we do put actual people that we consider to be rogues in what they've done and how they've helped us in our journey.
So Brew Public is a little rogue. We're going to ask you a question you might not want to answer, but we got this one in about Rogue closing down the Tracktown Brewery in Eugene. How did this decision come about?
Yeah, this is really a simple business decision. Even though we love Eugene and been there a long time and have lots of great fans and customers there, the economics of the business just didn't warrant being open any longer. So it was simple as that, unfortunately.
Did you were the sodas being brewed at that location, and if so, where are you going to start making the sodas from moving forward?
Yeah, we were brewing the sodas down there, and what we're going to do now is brew it in combination, 2 places, either at Buckman Brewery across the street or at the brewery down in Newport.
Okay. Are you looking at opening any additional public houses or locations in the coming years?
Yeah, I'm always looking. I mean, we say we kiss a lot of frogs to find a prince. So I look at deals all the time. I love having our own meeting halls as a place where people can come and experience all of our products and our culture and in our kind of in our living room. But it's got to be the perfect location, the perfect deal. So I try to be patiently aggressive if that makes any sense at all. So we can go a couple years and not open any new pubs, but if the right deal or deals came along, I'd be happy to do more, because I think they're great for our brand, great for our business, great for our customers.
Any new beers launching coming up this year?
Yes.
Anything you would care to share with us? I also want to ask you, after this, I probably should have led with this. You've got the Voodoo Donuts brand line, which you've done. You started with the Maple Bacon Bar, which has become an iconic beer, despite what people's thoughts are on the actual flavor. It's been a unique tasting beer. I've heard a range of I love it or I hate it. It's one of those kind of beers. And also the most recent Sriracha, which I love the bottle and branding. It's just like the hot sauce. Tell us like how you got into that. Like that's pretty interesting, and also if you can share anything moving forward, we'd love to know.
Yeah, I mean one fun new project for this year is this here, which is called the Pumpkin Savior. So I mentioned we have a pumpkin patch down in Independence, and so last year we had too many pumpkins, and so rather than let the pumpkins just kind of rot in the field, which you see sometimes at farms. We wanted to save the pumpkins, and so we we froze the pumpkins, put them in obviously in cold storage. We're going to brew a pumpkin whisk, kind of a spring pumpkin beer using they're not fresh pumpkins anymore, but they're the pumpkins that come from our farms. We have a beer in the fall called Pumpkin Patch that uses fresh pumpkins. And so from that product, we have these extra pumpkins that we're going to use in the pumpkin savior. So we didn't want to let the pumpkins just die or rot, so we saved them, and we're going to make a pumpkin savior beer, which, like I said, is a nice light pumpkin wheat beer that we're really excited about.
I think a lot of people that brew pumpkin beers use last year's pumpkins anyways, because you see pumpkin brews coming out in the middle of summertime anyways, because seasonal beers are often released early anyway.
That's right. Yeah, and back to your question about these products. The what we call these the kind of the voodoo and the sriracha type products. For me, these are not collaborations, but rather collisions. Is my term for them, where we kind of take the two brands and stick them together. We kind of run them into each other, and you really see a combination in the